Floyds Fork is a very dramatic valley, creek valley, in what I would call the east-southeast sector of Jefferson County. The thing that strikes me about that deep valley is that early pioneers settled along turnpikes on the what I would call the western edge of Floyd's Fork, broadly construed. What I'm thinking about are the communities of Middletown, Jeffersontown, and even Fern Creek on Bardstown Road. Now, along that Floyds Fork Valley in Jefferson County, you would have two communities that developed of moderate, modest to moderate size. They were not large communities, not like a Middletown at all. But I'm thinking of the communities of Fisherville as well as Seatonville. At Fisherville, there was a dam which fed a grist mill, and there were also other community features, including a general store and ultimately a post office and all of those things. One of the places along Floyd's Fork, just downstream from Fisherville, was a Blue Rock Hotel. And there were other hotels in that area as well, because when the railroad came in 1888, it became possible to come out to Fisherville for a weekend or a week for rest, relaxation, and recuperation. In the case of the Blue Rock Hotel, they had a life-giving well, a well that included, we believe, sulfur water and other vital minerals, and that was there at the Blue Rock Hotel on the banks of Floyd's Fork. Similarly, Seatonville, and there was a pioneer family from the very earliest days in that what is now a very remote portion of Jefferson County, even in the light of suburban development. Seatonville developed as well as a place where there would be a grist mill, where there would be a general store, and where there would be a blacksmith shop and other kinds of amenities there on Floyd's Fork.
In Floyd's Fork, where we are right now, is a particularly beautiful spot. This creek is relatively undisturbed. There is some development around it, but the immediate creek corridor is quite beautiful and is populated by numerous species of native trees, and of course the limestone fossil beds along here from an ancient Devonian sea are full of fossils from that period. So it's a treasure trove to just walk amongst the rocks here and look at the different brachiopods, colony coral, horned coral, and other aspects of life from hundreds of millions of years ago that have left their story here on the shoals. The community here, the ecological community, is quite varied. There's great biodiversity along here, and the water quality compared to the other waterways in Jefferson County is pretty darn good. So it's a pretty safe creek to swim in, a pretty safe creek to paddle in. Particular fossils we can find in the shoals along Floyd's Fork is the brachiopod. This is a clam-like organism. This was a live creature at one time, probably 175 million years ago or so. And here's some other brachiopods. They vary in size. These weren't great big types of sea creatures, but they were very abundant at one time. Then we also have some colony coral. These are an amalgam of individual organisms that mass together. There's a nice big one right there. There's another example of colony coral right there.
Well, I am Adam Dahmer. I live in Fisherville, Kentucky, which means that I'm just down the road from Floyds Fork Park. Floyds Fork is the park that services Fisherville. When I was growing up, Floyds Fork was always a fun place to go for family activities. There was a picnic area. Really, you were allowed to picnic most anywhere in the park, and they did soccer camps there. I was never much into soccer, but you can go there and see the kids who are doing it, and they've actually got some big tournaments there for soccer and also lacrosse now. Today I go running there mostly. They've got a lot of really well-maintained nature trails, and they're in the middle of a renovation right now. They're actually going to add, well, several miles of trail there and improve the launching areas for kayaks and canoes. Well, I'm very excited for the plans. They're going to consolidate Floyd's Fork with the rest of the metro parks. Before, it's always been kind of isolated out there on its own, but they're going to make a bike trail that integrates all of the major parks in Louisville, and Floyd's Fork, of course, will be included in that. Also, Floyd's Fork has recently doubled in size because of a land grant that was given it by a local farmer. Most memorable experience at Floyd's Fork. One time I was there and saw 3 box turtles together, and that's a real rarity because you almost never see more than one at once because they're not endangered, but they're becoming that way. And it shows that they've really got great ecology if you have 3 of them together. So that was a nice moment.